को चर्चा की थी और ये समझा था कि उसमें कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो हमको शायद समझने की ज़रूरत है। जैसे जो एक अच्छे शास्त्रवाद था, पार्शियल लिटरलिज्म, जिसको गोदी ने ट्रांसलेट किया है, उसमें कॉन्सेप्ट आता है क्रिएटर ब्रह्मा का, फिर देवलोक से दैट ही फील्स दैट ही इज द क्रिएटर, एंड देन सम देवलोक के लोग जो हैं, जब वो वहाँ पे पैदा होते हैं, उनको भी लगता है कि वो क्रिएटर है, एंड व्हेन दे फॉल बैक एंड कम टू दी these people come back to the earth region, then they meditate, develop psychic powers, and then they say, yeah, we are the Brahma is still there, he is the creator, he is permanent, and we are impermanent. So that's how the partial literalism comes up. Now this is also depicted in a sutta, because we have stronger uh, and understanding of that, and we have belief in that. So I'll just show you a sutta, very famous sutta, in which this part comes up. This is the 49th sutta of मध्यम निकाय का 49वां सुत्ता है। इसका नाम है ब्रह्म निमंत्रित सुत्ता, जो इन्विटेशन ऑफ ब्रह्मा जो है उसकी बात है।
सर, हमें आपका डेस्कटॉप दिख रहा है, अगर आप कोई फाइल शेयर कर रहे हैं तो वो नहीं दिखती है।
नहीं दिख रही?
नहीं सर, डेस्कटॉप दिख रहा है, स्क्रीन सेवर दिख रहा है।
आप दिख रही है?
हाँ सर, दिख रहा है।
यू आर सीइंग दिस स्लाइड?
हाँ जी सर।
तो मैं इसकी ओर ध्यान दिला रहा था कि पिछली बार हमने देखा था in the partial eternalism case, the concept of creator Brahma and how it arose and how it gave rise to the feeling that some beings are permanent, some are not permanent. And to bring out the fact that this is a part of some of the teachings in the suttas, I'm sharing a part of this sutta. Is it visible now?
यस सर।
मध्यम निकाय 49 दिख रहा है ना?
हाँ जी, दिख रहा है सर।
So this is a famous sutta, Brahmanimantirika Sutta, where the Buddha goes to visit Bak Brahma because he sees that he has developed a wrong view. And he said at that time Bakka the Brahma had the following harmful misconception. This is permanent, this is everlasting, this is eternal, this is whole, this is not liable to pass away, for this is where there is no being born, growing old, dying, passing away, or being reborn, and there are no other escape beyond this. So that's the kind of thought which arises in the mind. And so then the Buddha goes off there and he welcomes him, and again he says, Bakasami coming of the distance, come good sir, welcome good sir. It has been long time since you took the opportunity to come here. For this is permanent, this is everlasting. I repeat the whole same thing to Buddha also. So then Buddha says, alas, the Bhakka Brahma is lost in ignorance. Alas, the Bhakka, the Brahma is lost in ignorance. Because what is actually impermanent, not lasting, transient, incomplete, liable to pass away, is says is permanent, lasting, eternal, and not liable to pass. So this is the kind of thought, and naturally the people who are living there, they also get the thought of that kind, and when they pass away from there and are reborn in the human realm and they practice jhanas, they realize कि ओह कुछ लोग तो हम में से शायद ऐसे नहीं थे, कुछ ऐसे थे. So the that was the way, one of the things which we thought will use, that there's a need to understand these various realms of existence. So I have brief presentation, not even just a one slide. I have prepared the 31 realms of rebirth and 3 planes of existence. Okay, this is in tune with the teachings of the Buddha, and I have taken this from the book on Buddhist Cosmos by Ajahn Punnadhammo, who had given a talk also to us last year sometime. And I found the usefulness of this book is that it quotes various suttas at various points. It doesn't talk of, I mean, it does talk of other sources also, but also talks of various suttas where the Buddha has mentioned these various realms. So it gives some sense of authenticity to this. So it starts from the top. So we'll see the various. Firstly, there are 3 realms. One is Arupa Bhumi, the formless world. Then there is Rupa Bhumi, the plane of form, which is also called fine material world. And the Kama Bhumi. Kama Bhumi meaning the plane of sensory pleasures, which is the plane in which human beings are there. So we'll start from the lowest one and then slowly go up. So what is this plane? This is the plane where the impulse that dominates the mental life and bodily actions are desire to obtain pleasant sense experiences and to avoid unpleasant ones. I hope we can all relate to that. This is what we desire, isn't it? This is what is our whole life is geared in that direction. सुख मिलता रहे, सुखद वेदना हो, असुखद से हम दूर रहें. ये काम भूमि का ये बेसिक करेक्टरिस्टिक है. और इसमें मनुष्य जो है वो बीच में आते हैं. जैसे लिखा योर हेयर ही, अजान ने लिखा है योर हेयर. दिस इज द मनुष्य लोका और द ह्यूमन realm. And below that, there are 4 realms, which are called lower realms or apayagati or hellish realms, durgati जो कहा जाता है. And above that are devas, which is a सदगति. सदगति हो गई जिसे कहते हैं, मतलब वो देवलोक में चला गया. And obviously these two, as we all understand, are the result of karma. And especially if you are doing any, breaking any shila, and the sadgati is when you follow all the shilas, and we also do dana, generosity, and we practice to some extent some भावना. दान शील एंड भावना जो भगवान समझाते हैं, तो इसमें दान और शील का ही महत्व है ज़्यादा. कितनी गंभीरता से शील फॉलो किया, कितनी जनरोसिटी हमने दिखाई इन वेरियस realms, various types of generosities, and to what extent we have tried to tame our mind, maybe little bit or something. So these are the various higher realms. Okay, you can see the lower realms also. There are many variations: Asura, Peta, Tirchanna, and Nirya. Out of the Asuras, we are usually familiar. They are the ones which are the counterpart of the Devas. So humans are the balance between Asuras and the Devas, the lowest level of Devas. And interestingly, the name Asura, Jan says, it came from the fact that these people were drinking liquor. And they were originally the Devas. There they went to taking liquor to such an extent they got intoxicated, and the remaining Devas threw them out of that place. And when they were falling, they said, "हम शराब नहीं पियेंगे. We want liquor." So, ना सुरम पिवामा, ना सुरम पिवीमा. So इस कारण से उनका नाम असुर का रखा गया. ऐसा कहा, ऐसे अजान कहते हैं. So this they are constantly in, because of jealousy and hatred, they want to go up and they can't. And there's a Devasur Sangram which we hear in Buddha's teachings also. Then these are various states of misery. Variously, Nirya is the lowest one. Animal level, we are aware of that. and in between is the Peta, which is whose references we find in some of the suttas, where Moggallana sees some Peta and then he mentions to Buddha what are they, and they are actually in the chantings also. We chant the merits to transfer can be transferred only to this realm. They are also called hungry ghosts, eternally feeling hungry in that realm. And the idea is that when their uh, later generations do some meritorious act and dedicate it to them, then these petas are able to see that they are doing some generous act, dan, and other things for the sake of us. So they feel happy about it, momentary happiness, and that positive mental states help them to move out of this realm. So that is the understanding of this. And then when we have this chanting, which bhikkhus also do when we offer food, it says this. May the fruits of it go to petas. Petas also means the forefathers in that sense, pitra and peta. So the forefathers who have gone to hungry ghost realm were they get some kind of relief from our activities. That is the belief, and you can see it is a part of act in accordance with the law of karma, because it's not that our making any charitable act will help them. We make a charitable act in their name, and then they see us doing it and feel happy. And since they feel happy, that helps them to go. Otherwise, they're constantly suffering because of the evil deeds which they might have done. So, Manusha is the realm where both the some lower tendencies and some higher tendencies are present, and that's why it is said they experience happiness as well as suffering, and that's where the motivation to come out of suffering comes from. But here also, basically, it's a kama bhumi, and as we can all testify to that from our own experience. And lifespan here is not fixed. That's what he says. Then there are devas of increasing power, so which means increasing level of generosity, increasing level of purity of Shila, and some sadhana. So they go from the lowest Chaduru Maharajika, which we mention in the Atanatiya Sutta and Atanatiya Paritta, they are mentioned. And then Tavatimsa realm comes very often in the suttas, where Sakka is supposed to be the king of that sutta, and we find in Dhajjanga Sutta, we find in many suttas they come. Sakka comes to Buddha and seeks advice and seeks the Dhamma. And then there are still higher Dhamma. There Yama Deva is those who are restrained, those who kept more restraint on them. These are the Tushita Deva, those who have contentment. These are the people who have developed so much power that they can create whatever they want in order to get pleasure, because basic idea is to get pleasure. And these are the ones who are so powerful that their thoughts create in the minds of these people the joy of creating something which they can enjoy. And we can see their lifespans are increasingly large. CY is the celestial year, and it's a very large number, millions of years or something. So this is the plane of sense desire, where the higher planes are obtained by uh, dana and shila, and to some extent bhavana, but it's not gone to the deep levels of practice. Then we have the second realm, which is the Rupa Bhumi. It's called the fine material world in English. Some people call it Rupa Brahma Bhumi. There in the uh, residents of this realm are called Rupa Brahmas also, which means they have fine form. They have a physical form, but very fine. And it is so these are classified according to the jhana which the person has attained in the human realm. So if a person attains first jhana in the human realm and stabilizes it and passes away from this world is in that mental state, then he is going to be born in this Rupa Brahma Loka. Okay, and you can see K stands for Kappa, which means the aeon. So you can see the lifespans are much higher here. So in the first jhana also, depending on the intensity, you have one level, second level, and third level. And this is that great Brahma which comes out in the Brahmanimantika Sutta and comes in that where we are talking about the Brahmajala Sutta, concept of Brahma. Here is the concept of Brahma. So this is that Brahma which is being mentioned. This is the result of having first jhana. Okay. Then we have the second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana. So increasing level of jhana means increasing level of subtlety, and therefore they have increasing levels of peace and happiness, and increasing levels of psychic powers which they develop. Now, in the second jhana, that is also called abhasara loka. So there are various gradations of abhasara. Abhasara means abha जिसे कहते हैं radiance. So abhasara means streaming radiance. Appamana abha means unbounded radius. Paritta abha, paritta means small. So paritta abha means limited radiance. So this is how these levels are defined. They all are increasing intensity of increasing absorption in the second jhana. And the third jhana is the higher realms, which are of the glorious realms. So Shubhakina, Shubha is glory. Then Appamana Shubha, unbounded glory. Paritta Shubha, limited glory. These are the third jhana. The mental state in this realm is corresponding to the third jhana. So the people live in that mental realm. And then we have the fourth jhana. Incidentally, in the explanation of this Brahmajala Sutta, we had mentioned that Abhasar Loka, when the world is being expansion of the universe is happening, being from Abhasar Loka, when they pass away, they get reborn in the Brahma Loka. And this is what it means here. You can see this happening. So Abhasara Loka is second jhana loka from here. So when their karma of that kind gets exhausted, they get into the lower realm of first jhana because they have practiced first jhana also. So they are born as great Brahmas, and that's where the illusion begins to happen. That because of the one who is born there in the first time, he thinks he's the only person there. And after a long time, a thought arises in his mind, may there be some more people, and some people come. So he gets into that illusion that I am the creator of the people who are following me. And that's how the hypothesis or this view of partial literalism arose. Then there are other realms also, which are understanding of which will be helpful for us to see the other sutta, other realm, the views which will follow, especially the fourth jhana. So in the fourth jhana, we have one which is called Behafala, which is very fruitful. Other one is Asanya Satta, which is there is body and no mind. Now this sounds very funny, you know? And because Asanya Satta is what which gives rise to the view of the fortuitous coincidence. You remember that was mentioned in the doctrine of origination by chance. And here it is mentioned, people born in Asanya Loka, when they fall back from that into earth and meditate deeply and develop psychic powers, they are not able to see that they were there before that because they have lived in a very large number of years, so many eons, 500 eons. They have lived in a state where there is no nama, there is no mental phenomena. So they can't think that they were anywhere because they are unconscious. So they think they were not anywhere for a very long time. And they've been suddenly born. So that's the kind of origin of this doctrine. Yeah? That it is just happening by chance. And the reason is this realm, Asanya Satta. And why does this realm arise? It happens when people who don't have clear understanding of Buddha's teaching, they practice, especially the people from other traditions. That's what the text says. When they practice jhanas and reach up to that level of concentration and collectedness of the fourth jhana, then after emerging from the fourth jhana, they realize that the conscious world is really suffering. You have to face so much of impingement, and then there is Vedana, and then there is Vedana being essentially suffering. So they think that it's much better if we don't have any perception at all, if the sanya does not arise. And because of that thought, then they practice in that manner. Again, they practice jhana now with this strong intention that jhana, this sanya should not arise. And as they do it again and again, they create a state where the at the well, and the human beings, when they are practicing, they get deep peace which lasts for a long time, very very long time, because there is no impingement of the senses. And then when they pass away from this human realm in that mental state, they are born in this realm where the lifespan is 500 mahakappas, which means 500 eons. So they lived there in not 500 eons. And in Anguttara Nikaya, Atthakatha, this part of it is mentioned. And there's the story of the bhikkhu Shobitaya, the case of which comes in the Nikaya. There's this bhikkhu Shobita. He once he becomes comes to the Buddha's teachings, he practices and attains all the abhinyas, and he mentions that to the other friends that he could remember up to 500 kappas, and he didn't see himself anywhere there. So other bhikkhus get really, they think he's telling a lie, and they think he's committing a big offense according to Vinaya. So they go to Buddha, and then Buddha looks at him and he says, yeah, he's telling a lie, because he was earlier in the Asanya Satta Lokha, where there no consciousness, and therefore he's saying he sees 500 chaos, but he doesn't see himself anywhere there. And it's only now, it's only when he became conscious from there, then he fell down to the realm. So he can't remember those 500 kappas, which are a kind of blank for him. So that's where in the sutta, I think I can mention the number of the sutta. It is Anguttara Nikaya 1.227, where this reference comes to this elder Shovita. So in the sutta also, there is a mention of this kind of sutta. And then the higher realms of the fourth Rupa Bhumi are the what are called pure abodes or Shuddha Vasa, where only Anagamis are reborn. That's the region exclusively for them. Five levels, and there are five levels of Anagamis, they are said to be, depending on the practice of the fourth jhana, and they are born there. And they have increasingly larger and larger number of eons of lifespan here. And there itself they practice, and they pass away from there and become Anagami, Arhant. And if their lifespan remains as Arhant, also they will remain there, and then the final Nibbana, the Anupadi says Nibbana happens there. And why are Anagamis born here? Because Anagamis still have Rupa Raga and Arupa Raga. So they have the uh, latent desire to be born in a Rupa realm. Those of the Anagamis really come into this realm. So that's the explanation given here. Then there are the Arupa Bhumi, which is the formless meditations. These are the meditative states in which the object of meditation are formless. In these four meditations, the object of meditation is a form, some kind of a form. We'll mention shortly about that. And here there are only mind only. That is four khanda realm. There is no rupa here. So in the Asanyata Sutta, there was only rupa. In contrast, there is no rupa, and other four mental factors are present. And these are quantified not in terms qualified not in terms of their levels, but in terms of the object of attention. So in the first level is Akasancha Bhumi, which means plane of infinite space, then infinite consciousness, plane of nothingness, and plane of neither perception nor non-perception. These are the increasing levels of fineness of the practice, the depth of the practice. and they result in increasingly large level of stay in the lifespan in those Arupa Bhumi realms. And since these Arupa Bhumi Brahmas don't have any sense organs, they are not able to hear the Dhamma. And therefore, the Alarka Lama and Uddakaram the two teachers of the Buddha, it is said in the commentaries that they were born in this realm. And since they didn't have any sense organs, Buddha didn't who couldn't really go and teach them Dhamma, and therefore they had to stay there for, you can see, 60 kilo means 60,000 Mahakappas, 84,000 Mahakappas. They would be there enjoying the peace and the bliss, and only then their residual karma will take shape and they'll get born in some other realm, some form realm where they could practice. So these are the various realms which are mentioned in the various. Now, and this is the realm which is where there is such a limited sense of perception. The sannyas, there are all various realms, types of sannyas which we have. And here there is sanya is so subtle, so low that you can't really recognize things, but you're not totally free from sanya. And therefore it's called plane of neither perception nor non-perception. Now, these are the various meditative realms, and we can understand the jhanas and then see how these correspond to different levels of um, beings. Now, this I think that we could do in the next class. It's already, how much time is there? Or maybe we could do that quickly. We spend too much time. Because we have already discussed about it many times, it should be comparatively easy. The various factors of jhana are vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, and ekagata. So the first jhana has all of those factors. Okay? The second jhana, vitakka, vichara is not there, only piti is the dominant factor. In the third jhana, sukha is the dominant factor. Okay? In the fourth jhana, ekagata or equanimity is the dominant factor. So as we keep on practicing, slowly the vitakka vichara, the distractions, the mind getting here and there, they've come down. Then only these factors remain. Practicing still further, the priti, which has a dynamic aspect, too strong a dynamic, and very happiness, which is rapture as it is called, or happiness, which gives the feeling of energetic energetic happiness. And sukha is essentially calmness, the bodily and mental calmness, which is nearest to the prashabdhi. Mind is calmed down drastically. And when, as you practice further, this also goes away, and we are abide in ekagata. Ekagata meaning one pointedness, or no kind of uh, distractedness. The distractedness is all finished, and there is associated with equanimity. And you can easily see once you understand these four jhana factors, you can easily see their relationship with the various. So the first jhana is the practice where there are all the four factors are present. So there is happiness. There is a happiness level. There is this peace, but there is a dynamism in the happiness. So they are great Brahmas with great powers and great joy. Then in second jhana, since the Priti is calmed down, there is a calmness. Priti is no longer there, only Sukha is there. So there is a, sorry, the Vitakka Vichara have gone. In second jhana, the Vitakka Vichara have gone. There are Priti, Sukha and Ekagata. So the kind of this stability of the experience becomes larger then. So in the second jhana, the mind is more stable because there is no vitakka vichar happening, and therefore the beings in this realm have a much greater stability than those in this realm, and therefore they have a bodies which are radiant. In the third jhana, the Piti has come down and only the Prashabdhi or Sukha has remained. So then the uh, form of those beings is extremely glorious. So there's a glory and there's a kind of calmness to their demeanor. Here, radiance has a dynamism in it. The example is given, this is like a flame which is radiating light, and this is like a pure gold which is having its own radiance, but a very silent kind of radiance. And in the fourth jhana, you have complete equanimity. See, so these uh, cross forms of uh, movements, the peace level is obviously much greater, because even the sukha, bodily sukha, also being impermanent, is not being felt. So it is complete collectedness of mind and the equanimity of the highest order, which comes with neutral sensations, or kind of adukha, sukha, vedana. So they feel, and that gives a great amount of peace. And that's why it entices some people to think that going out of that is really harmful and it disturbs the peace, and then they create an intention of becoming asanya satta. And it is this fourth jhana people only that who can, or anagamis, to come to this level of prayer. And in anagamis also, these five levels are supposed to be based on the five indriyas, which is their practice strong point. So this is the Shraddha Indriya. Then they are in this realm. It is the Virya Indriya, then Sati Indriya, Samadhi Indriya, and Panya Indriya. So the highest level is the Panya Indriya, and they reach that highest level of the pure abodes. So this is how, and these are of course specific jhanas which are explained in this manner. So this is how the various realms are understood, and their relationship to the jhana is understood. So we'll stop here. If there are any questions, we can take it up later. Okay?
Sir, so we can meditate for next 20 minutes, maybe 6:40 or 6:40. Then if there are questions, kindly raise the virtual hand, else we will meditate for following minutes. And can directly unmute and ask the question if needed, else in settings simply.
Nikhil, I have a request. I think I missed this talk by Ajahn Punyadhammo. Is it possible to share a link to that talk if it is not too difficult to find?
हाँ, प्लेलिस्ट में देख सकता हूँ सर मैं, और अगर मेरे को वो प्लेलिस्ट में अवेलेबल मिल गई तो फिर मैं शेयर कर दूंगा, आपको भी कर दूंगा, एंड मे बी आप बाकी लोगों को चेक में अभी अभी कोशिश करूंगा.
That's okay, if you can find it. Otherwise, it's fine. I mean, I don't have too many questions because I've barely understood all the things here. But one simple question, which may be not in order, because what is normally mentioned is that Bhagavan Buddha looked back 93 eons. So, where does this knowledge about of all these realms comes from? Is it post-Buddha knowledge? Post-Buddhahood
It's
unknowledge?
exactly clear whether the knowledge of other realms came post-Buddha or Buddha enlightenment, or it came with the practice of 8 jhana. That's not clear. But
Okay.
obviously, after Buddhahood, everything was clear. So exactly, I can't say, because the abhinyas don't include seeing other lives. The three primary abhinyas of the Buddha are the knowing the person, his own life story, various life births through which he has gone, then seeing the births and deaths of different people in the world, so as that the karma principle becomes clear, and then recognizing that the mind has become completely free from sankharas and full enlightenment, and there's no more rebirth. This is what is generally called as the three avinyas of the Buddha. The third one being common to all the arhants.
Right. A second question that comes to my mind is that normally Brahma Viharas we associate with the Brahma realms.
Yeah.
This is different.
No, same thing. I think I mixed up two things. So this is same thing. The Brahma realms are the Rupa Bhumi.
Right.
So the first jhana, I mean, this is a commentatorial addition. First jhana, they say access to metta, second can be accessed through karuna, third can be accessed through mudita, and fourth can be accessed through upekha practice. This is the commentatorial take on it as given by Ajahn Purnadhamma. And from the fourth jhana onwards, you can access the Arupa Bhumi. Once you practice fourth jhana, we get established in equanimity, and then we extend it to infinite dimensions. You know, that upekha sahagata, that kind of practice, when you extend it to all the possible directions, then you can access the plane of infinite space, and from there, all other spaces can be sequentially accessed. This is the take of, this is somewhat given in the Mahasunyata Sutta, and this is how Venerable Analayo explains that. Okay? Venerable Analayo explains that once you can practice a Upekha Bhavana, that is Upekha Brahma Vihara in great depth, and then as in that Brahma Vihara chanting which we do, we extend it in all the directions, above, below, and infinite direction, then that can give you a very quick access to plane of infinite space, because you are extending it in there. And therefore, you can leave aside that equanimity and focus on the infinite space. Immediate transition to this can happen. So he relates it to this also. So sequentially, from jhanas, 4 jhanas, you go to the Arupa jhanas. And then from once you have done infinite space, then you can sequentially go to all of them. This is Venerable Analayo's take on the jhanas. So I probably, that's why I said I'll confirm. So I sat down and checked up. That's the two renowned bhikkhus talking about these relationships of the various bhumis to the, or various jhanas to the Brahmavihara practice.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You see, in any other question, if there is, I can answer.
So question I got really is, these higher realms, what is the nature of life? What do they really do for so long years? Do they meditate? Do they do something? Or it's just a curious.
Yeah, in the Considering the intention with which the person has gone into the realm, that intention carries forward. It's a very simple answer I have to that. So people who reach the pure abodes, they have the intention of liberation. So they have reached Anagami, they go there and they continue to meditate and get free there itself. They don't return. That's why they're called non-returners. The people who had the intention of that being sanya causes problems, so we should have no perception because it gives you great peace. So they abide in great peace for eons here in this realm. The people who have the intention of practicing with a view to, I mean, they're refiner and refiner levels of peace. Here, refiner and refiner levels of sense pleasures. Pretty. That's how it is explained in the book by and various books. You can see it's the lower realms also want pleasure, but it's not accessible to them. Here we have access to some access in the human realm. We have some access to pleasures because the whole Kama Bhumi is essentially one which is given to seeking pleasure. That's all. Kama means sensory enjoyment, sensory pleasures. And these are getting more and more refined as we get into the higher realm. So there's a complete enjoyment. And we hear of Devas Asur Sangram in Buddha's Dhajaga Sutta, that mention comes. So because there is constant fight between Asuras who were once in the Deva Loka, they want to go back, they come back, and this kind of, and again, this is a typical consequence of seeking sensory pleasures. There will be others who will compete, and there will be fight, and there will be quarrels. So you can see this. And from there, you go to higher and higher level. As you get more restrained, then you become contented. So you're peacefully living there. And as you go there, you get greater power. So now you have the power to create anything you want for pleasure. Anything you want to give sensory pleasure, you have that ability to create it on your own. And they're talking of those subtler sensory pleasures. And once one recognizes the limitations of sensory pleasures, then he wants to get the higher otherworldly happiness, so to say. And there are gradations of otherworldly happiness in these four jhanas. Somebody goes even beyond that, he says Vedana itself is a problem, and so we should give up all that because great peace comes from there. So he goes from here into the formless realms because there is no form, so there is no suffering associated with form. There's no, I mean, Ajahn mentions there's no stick because there's no form, there's no stick, no fighting, no anger, no nothing. Abide in great peace and happiness. So that's the kind of, because it's the intention which takes us to different realms. If we have a strong intention of taking revenge and settling scores, we are likely to go down because these are the regions where that possibility comes. So we're going to go down in this hierarchy of beings. So that's how it is explained.
While you were explaining, you also mentioned when you offer something to our ancestor, they will be very happy. They will come to know, or it is just a sensual pleasure they will have.
They are, I mean, this is a Peta realm. It's basically only the hungry ghost. It has written ghost, but it's generally called hungry ghost. Those who are dissatisfied in their life and have done certain strong evil actions, because of that, they get born as Preta realms. And some people ask somebody that you're making an offering. Suppose there is nobody whom my immediate ancestor, then he says, you've lived millions of lives. There is certainly bound to be some people in that realm. So don't worry about that your and generous act is getting waste. You can create an intention. May this go to my ancestors. And if there are some in this, they will feel. If not, it will be anyway, to you, it will give you happiness in any case. Whether it gives to them or not depends on whether they know it and whether they are able to rejoice in it. Because it's not that you are giving is going to help. when you give it to a punya kheta, a person who is really, say that's what is called the definition of sangha. You know, one of the qualities is punya kheta, anuttara punya kheta is one where the punya is magnified many much, which gets sprouted. So if a great bhikkhu, if an arahant sends you good wishes for you, sends blesses that may this reach the petas, then that wish will certainly, the petas will hear, and then when they see that an arahant is wishing for me, for my happiness, then he rejoices in that happiness. And so though he is eternally in suffering, that moment of rejoicement in that creates a very good karma, and he moves up slowly and slowly, and he can even come out of that realm. And there are stories where petas came out of the realm just by this kind of action. So this is what is mentioned by Ajahn Punyadhammo. And there are references given to suttas. That's the interesting part. If anybody wishes, one can see that.
So there, in the sutta that we're discussing now, there is a mention that when the period of contraction happens, all beings go to Abhasara loka.
No, it's not mentioned. Not immediately, no. That's not mentioned. What is
इस तरह का
mentioned is...
implication है.
Pardon?
इसी तरह का सुना था मैंने कुछ implication का. Maybe I heard it wrong.
Yeah, no, beings also die, na? Not all of them qualify to go to their level, so their next consciousness will arise after a long time. For example, there is mention about that elder Sobhita.
So does it mean that those who go to Abhasara's lok, they are not affected by the contraction?
Yeah, there are different realms which is said, which are affected by various elements, earth element, water element. So if there is pralaya, it will go up to certain level. If there is wind element, it goes up to some level. And some places are not affected. Some realms are not affected by any of the, because the destruction of the cosmos means 4 elements are getting destroyed. They're not able to support anything, and they're losing its basic characteristics. So that case, some levels are there which are beyond that level. So they survive there.
Okay. So certainly Arup lok will come in that.
Yeah, of course, Arup Loka is not going to be affected anyway. Right. But even in the Rupa Bhumi, I think some levels onwards, this realm goes with the earth element, this realm goes with this way it is defined. One level goes with the earth element destruction, other level finishes. So all beings are finished, they die there, and then they are reborn in the appropriate realm at appropriate time. So the next mind movement arises only when the appropriate loka is available.
It's complicated, but
that's how it is explained. So I can't obviously. I'm just repeating what I've learned, what I've read.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It's a good book if somebody is interested. I found it very interesting because there were suttas given, so I didn't have time to go through all of them. But yesterday, throughout the day, I was just going through that and trying to see the suttas where this, and I verified that, yeah, in suttas, there's the mention of that particular incident where this phenomena happened. This deva is called mentioning, this particular information is given. So that way, this book is really, kind of bridging the gap, because otherwise the Buddhist cosmos is talked of purely from the basis of the commentary literature. Here, for the probably first time, references from the Tipitaka are given, and Abhidhamma Kosha also, of course. Not only Tipitaka, but other Abhidhamma Kosha references. So I found it quite informative, if I would use that word.
Also, it seems because of my conventional mind, I used to associate this contraction and expansion with the Big Bang and black hole. But I think it probably has a different meaning here altogether.
Yeah, it's not complete cessation of all existence. Because there's no way that Arupa Brahma Loka beings can be destroyed. There's no way. And similarly, this realm, pure abodes, it doesn't have the book mentions that the various fire element, for example, if there is whole cosmos burns out, it will reach up to certain level. And the highest level, highest destruction is the wind level. If the wind level also gets disrupted, then it will reach up to certain level. Beyond that, there is no. I don't exactly remember where it is, which realm goes up to what level. Because I didn't note it down also.
But is there a description of what contraction and expansion mean somewhere in this whole process?
Yeah, it
Because
says, yeah,
Sutta में
the,
आता ना, when the contraction happens, then this
yeah,
happens.
the eons means that. One eon
Right.
means
Right.
the
One
this
contraction and one
contraction,
expansion.
yeah. And then after a long time, it says, after this contraction, after a long time, expansion happens. Till that time, the beings in the Basara Loka, they live feeding on piti because they don't need any food. So there's the sutta also in which Buddha mentions when the villagers don't give them food during the rainy in one of the vasas. He tells Ananda, we'll live like beings of the Abasar Loka, feeding on piti, don't worry. Of course, Ananda goes and makes some arrangement through horse dung and all that story. That is part of the sutta actually. So he quotes that sutta about Abasara Loka and all that.
Right. Okay.
So obviously there are beings, it doesn't mean complete destruction of all realms of existence. It certainly means complete destruction of Rupa Bhumi because of its nature and part of the Rupa Bhumi and whole of the Kama Bhumi. That gets completely. So Kamavachar Loka, it's also an Abhidhamma called Kamavachar Loka. That is completely destroyed. Rupavachar Loka partially destroyed. And Arupavachar Loka unaffected. That's the way I have been able to understand it.
So there may be some correlation with the physical universe happenings, but not entirely perhaps.
You don't know. Aganya Sutta says that when expansion took place, then something happened, and then the beings came down, and it has slightly different take on it. And that is the sutta the only sutta where Buddha talks of the cosmology in a detailed sense.
Okay. Right.
See, there are the different opinions about jhanas. So there are two schools of thought. One school of thought talks of kasinas, and Buddha also talks of the two suttas in which he talks of 10 kasinas. So, but he also talks of achieving even these formless jhanas through proper practice, starting from form and slowly giving it up. There's that famous Chula Sunyata Sutta where he explains how we can practice and experience these formless, get not experience, get intimation of what it means to have meditating on infinite space or infinite consciousness or emptiness. That fourth one is difficult, but at least these two one can get a knack of doing it through the Chulu Sanyada Sutta. So the schools are that one, for example, talks of it depends on what kasina you use, what is the object of meditation you use. So depending on that, will be different kinds of attainments and different. Of course, some of them lead to highest level, some are don't lead to highest level. These are common. The Buddha has not mentioned that, but 10 kasinas Buddha has mentioned at least, which are generally seen to be the most prominent ones. There are four earth elements and then colors, four different colors, and then sky and consciousness. So if you feel there will be some interest, we could go through Chulu Sunyata Sutta and see how we can slowly expand our mind to understand what does it mean to meditate on infinite space. That is doable at least. So if people are willing to, if you think or if Banteji says it's worth doing, then we can do that tomorrow.
That'll be
As
nice.
far as
Yeah.
these ordinary dhyanas are concerned, in the Satipatthana Sutta practices which he did, and these many of the friends were able to experience all these factors. Some experienced vitakka vichara absence also. So some experienced the absence of vitakka vichara for a long period of time, and piti and sukha and ekagata. So I presume this is doable for all of us with proper practice. I in fact remember, if she's here, when the first retreat, on the 5th day, one of the meditators came to me. I think I'm getting crazy, and what happened? I said, I'm happy, but I don't know why I'm happy. So I had to tell her this is what is called preeti. It's not getting crazy. You're actually practicing strongly and they're experiencing preeti. And being happy without any reason. Because internal mind has become so still. And then, of course, when that bouts of happiness arising and passing away, you see them, then mind calms down and body calms down, and you experience deep sukha also, and ekagata. So these are things which at least 10, 15 people have practiced, so I know they are accessible, so I don't need to explain it much. But the formless ones we have never never handled. But I did try earlier, long back, and felt it was doable at least. So if we are up to that, we can do that. We can spend one day tomorrow, maybe 45 minutes or so, and get a knack of it. Buddha gives very beautiful instruction. I mean, the very interesting way of accessing this, which I found. I thought it was so, because most of the commentators would say you first reach fourth jhana and then you access the formless jhana, infinite space. He doesn't say anything of that kind. He defines emptiness in a very practical way. You know, what is, he says, this monastery is empty of elephants. Okay, this is the empty of elephant, but there are people. And then visualization one by one, remove people, remove the construction, remove the forest, remove elements, then finally remove the earth and see what is left behind. So you progressively remove objects, and ultimately you're left behind with infinite space. So I found that was pretty interesting as well as doable. So that we get an idea of these, there is something. Infinite space can be meditated upon. And then you easily can see that if you can really get deep, you can drop that also. Once we become adept at dropping our objects of attention, then you can go easily. Then yeah, we drop the infinite space and be aware that consciousness is what is looking at the infinite space. And then you drop that and you enter into emptiness. So those are the kind of, those sequences become at least theoretically clear. So we could do that, try it out and see whatever we can experience. So that all these things don't seem totally out of this world. They're not out of this world. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, Sunil, you want to ask something quickly?
So there one small question to those I asked in the morning. I think the understanding that I got was that the devas are basically the fine material realm, and fine material perhaps to me means that they're probably transparent or something that cannot be seen easily by human eye at least. But the asuras and the petas, are they also fine material? Because again, normal human eye cannot see them.
Yeah. not of the same kind as the Rupa jhanas, but they are not visible to the human beings, normal human beings. People with abhinya can see them. In many suttas we find Moggallana referring to having seen Petas, Buddha confirming that, and also seeing other beings. So it's a psychic powers of Dimba Chakshu, which is called, that gives the ability to see beings.
That's clear. But what I was wondering was, are they of the same kind in terms of their materials as the realm above the human realm? Or are they different kind of things?
They're supposed to be a different kind because, for example, the Moggallana that Sutta mentions, he saw a being, a huge being of many very enormous length, burning in the form of a bird.
Yes, yes.
Another case in the form of a big snake with a human head, and all these kinds of fantastic things, which was burning very heavily or rotting away. So they have shapes which are not visible to us, but visible to people.
Okay.
While the devas and all appear to most people in the form of light. They appear as light according to the book. So the way, not only to most people of the lower realms, in fact, devas of higher realm appear to the devas of lower realm in the form of bright light. So and so on. That's the what the book says.
Okay. Right, sir. Thank you.
हाँ जी दीपक जी हाँ दीपक दीपक सूरी आपने हाथ रेस उठाया हुआ है कुछ
ओके, आई एम सॉरी, मैं अनम्यूट अभी किया।
जी,
मेरे दो प्रश्न हैं। एक तो यह है कि कुछ सेंट्स जो हैं वो मेडिटेशन में बैठते हैं, जब उनको एक प्रीमोनिशन होता है कि मैं हमारा टाइम आ गया शरीर छोड़ने का, तो मेडिटेशन में बैठ जाते हैं और अपना प्राण त्याग देते हैं। तो ऐसे सेंट किस अवस्था में होते हैं ज्ञान की? ध्यान
साइकिक पावर्स है उनमें ऑब्वियसली, बट कौन सा ध्यान कर रहे नहीं मुझे नहीं मालूम, बट obviously they have some ability to see their live stream. This is one of the abhinyas.
ओके, तो मेडिटेशन में बैठते फिर बाद में अपना शरीर छोड़ देते हैं। दूसरा ये था कि जैसे मुझे याद आ रहा है, जब भगवान बुद्ध जो है परिनिर्वाण को प्राप्त हो रहे थे, तो उससे पहले उन्होंने ध्यान लगाए और 8वें ध्यान तक गए, फिर चौथे ध्यान पे आए, फिर उन्होंने जाके शरीर छोड़ा। ऐसा कुछ, एम आई राइट इन रिकलेक्टिंग?
This is what is written in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta.
हाँ जी। तो जस्ट ए प्योरली एकेडमिक क्वेश्चन कि क्या ये चौथे ध्यान की अवस्था ही बेस्ट है शरीर छोड़ने के लिए?
I don't know really, I can't say.
It's a guess, of course, anybody will guess, but I was only
मैंने
wondering.
कहीं कुछ इसके बारे में कुछ पढ़ा नहीं है। मैं भी
मैं कहा आपका योर गेस्ट, मैंने कहा आप
जी मुझे मालूम है।
स्टडी के। I was also, the question struck me why from 8th he came to a 4th level of jhana, and then anyway, ठीक है जी, it was only academic question. I have a very very long way to go. Thank you.
ये जो भगवान बुद्ध का परिनिर्वाण के समय पे जब फोर्थ ध्यान में पहुंचते हैं, तो वो लौकिक ध्यान ना होकर लोकोत्तर ध्यान थे, क्योंकि फोर्थ ध्यान में जब लौकिक में पहुंचते हैं उसके बाद में सीधे लोकोत्तर में जाएं या अरूपावचरा में जाएं, तो हर स्पेन के अंदर, मतलब हर जान के अंदर, चाहे लोकोत्तर हो चाहे अरूपा बचरा हो, वहाँ फिर हमारा कमठान चेंज हो जाता है। तो वो लोकोत्तर में निब्बान हमारा कमठान होता है। तो फिर वहीं फर्स्ट से लेकर फिर फोर्थ तक, फिर उपेक्षा तक, तो तत्र मजिता वाली जो है उपेक्षा में जो आती है, तो वो वाला ध्यान था वो, ऐसा मुझे लगता है।
मे भी, मुझे मालूम नहीं, आई डोंट नो।
So Darshan, just to clarify a few things. एक तो ये जब हम कहते हैं that जो अरूप वाले हैं या जो उसके नीचे वाले हैं, they are correspond they correspond to jhanas. So did I hear you correct that it means that the person at the point of passing away was in such and such jhana? Is that the meaning of saying that they correspond to jhana?
No, their mental states correspond to the mental states experienced by meditators during that particular jhana. So they abide in that mental state, in that realm. So that realm has its same mental state in all the beings. So if a meditator in the human realm practices those jhanas, gets stabilized in them, and to the extent that that becomes his prominent sankhara, then he will go in that realm.
I see. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. So if that jhan is available at will, then the likelihood of, I see. Yeah. And the same principle applies downwards also, isn't it? जो भी prominent संखार होगा उसी दिशा में आप जाओगे. I see. Yeah. Okay. अच्छा, दूसरा called देवलोक हैं, उनका कनेक्शन इतना ज़्यादा मेंटल कलेक्टेडनेस से नहीं है, बल्कि जैसे आपने बताया दान और शील वगैरह से
Virtue, yes. Shil Vishuddhi and Dan, generosity of various kinds. Generosity के भी अलग अलग levels हैं. Very high level of generosity and purification of virtue.
And again, the same principle is applying because that's the sort of mental state that it is generating. अच्छा, फिर ये बताएं कि ये when you are talking about Brahmanarati devas, now they create whatever they want. So what does that imply? So for example, maybe one example of what you understand.
They
Nirman.
Whatever pleasures they want to experience, and those things they can create for themselves.
Okay.
And the Paranimman Ratiwala, those in the highest realm, they think anything, and the lower realm people will, that thought will go into them, and they will create it.
Yeah.
And those people will have a nice time with that. That's what is described in the book.
Yeah, sure. अच्छा, चौथा ये बताइए that in your understanding, what's the consonance between this cosmology and the Vedic cosmology? इसका क्या हिसाब है दर्शन?
Many of the deities mentioned in Buddha's teachings find their names in the Vedic terminology also. But here they're treated as impermanent, although of very long lifespan, but they will pass away. In the other cosmology, in the Indian tradition, some people believe devas have tasted the nectar and therefore they're indestructible. And certainly the three top devas are indestructible. That's the general belief. But in terms of for example, devas and asuras fighting, that we find there also. And asuras given to excessive drinking, that also is appears. So there are many similarities, but this is the marked difference in the understanding.
So so two follow-up questions. जो ये जो so called layers हैं levels हैं, ये congruous हैं क्या हर साहब दोनों में, ऐसा है?
वहाँ पे मैंने कोई इस तरह के लेवल सुने नहीं. I have not. Maybe there are. I have not heard, because there must be many scriptures where this kind of details may be given. What I have read is primarily the Upanishads. So there we find names of Prajapati, for example, is there. The Rudra is there, and then there are other saints. There Vishnu appears in some places. Rudra is Shiva. Brahma appears in some places. So this way, the deities appear. But the perception of their being arising and passing away doesn't seem to appear in the Vedic literature, to my best of my knowledge. They have the ability to take birth in any realm and then go back, come back to realm and go back. The concept of avatar is there. So they can take shape in different form and there do various things and then go back to their realm of existence. इस तरह की concept है.
So in your understanding, ये जो immortality वाली बात आती है वो हमारे वैदिक वाले हिसाब में pervades the entire.
Yeah, because that concept of Sagar Manthan and Amrita rising, Amrit is that which gives you immortality, जिस पे फिर झगड़ा होता है, and some asuras drink, and all those stories which are there, they tend to convey that devas are not going to die. They may be defeated and driven out and all that. Asuras keep on doing that, but they don't die, at least according to the mythology.
जी. So then bringing that back now to our canon, तो जैसे जो ब्रह्म की जो illusion है, we have sutras where he's calling it out, है ना? And in that sense it is almost as if it's almost कि जो वैदिक concept है उसको थोड़ा उससे अलग है. तो इसी तरीके से धर साहब हमारे कैनन में ये जो इमोर्टैलिटी वाली बात है देवों की, इसका भी कुछ है क्या एज फार एज यू हैव रेड? इस पे भी कुछ कमेंट्री या तो भगवान बुद्ध या कोई और करते
No being is immortal. In our canon, nothing is immortal.
No, that I know. What I mean is, like, there is this encounter with Mahabrahma and then he calls it, जो आपने अभी सुत्त पढ़ के सुनाया, ब्रह्म निमंत्रिका. इस तरीके से मैं पूछ रहा हूँ that हमारे कैनन में इस तरह से does the Buddha sort of try to shed light on the devas to clear the illusion that they are immortal? That's the question.
Brahma nimantika is one prominent one, very removes that illusion. And the devas, like Saka, number of times comes and he's given a proper teaching, as a result of which he becomes Sotapanna. So obviously they understand the impermanence of phenomena. But directly, a person being challenged and then given the teaching is only in this particular sutta, to my knowledge.
So इंद्र भगवान की जो सोतापत्ति फल है धर साहब वो एक्चुअली होता है, is it? It's not like he's already sotapanna and then in that realm, is it?
There's somewhere I read that he becomes Sotapanna on contacting.
Or he is sotapanna.
Yeah, he's gone after receiving the teachings from Buddha.
Exactly, that's my question. That there is a direct relationship between his hearing the teaching and
this I've heard. I'm not sure exactly if there is a sutta where it says it, or is it a commentatorial version.
Okay, so canonically we are not certain. Okay.
I'm not sure about that, but it is repeated in many commentaries.
So I have a few questions. I want to go ahead on this. लेकिन अगर किसी का कोई और सवाल हो जो कि directly जो हम कर रहे हैं उससे related हो तो please go ahead. And if there isn't anything, then I'll continue with this line of questioning.
So as a follow-up question to what Bhante ji has been asking, doesn't Dhajjak Sutta refer to the mortality of Shaka and his Prajapati and other gods?
Yeah, in the Buddhist canon it is mentioned, but there the issue of fear comes up, that they are afraid of, and that if fear arises, then you should chant Iti Piso and so on.
Okay.
That is the main message there is this. And then Buddha uses that to convey to the bhikkhus that when you are in a forest, जंगल में हो, अरण्य में हो या शून्यागार में हो, और भय जागे तो इति पिसो करो, अगर ये ना याद आए तो स्वाक्षतो करो, ये भी ना याद आए तो सुपटिपन्नो करो. Do the Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, Sanghanusati, that will remove your fear. So that is the main purpose of that Dhajjaka Sutta. And many times it is used as a paritta for fear.
The other question I had was not a very clear-cut question in my mind, but there seems to be some kind of intermingling of the concept of cosmos here, both in physical terms as well as more spiritual terms, or the kind of existence they have in these realms. So there is this mix-up which at least in my mind, it is not clear whether there is a mix-up or it's only in my mind.
What kind of mix-up? I have not realized mix-up. What is the kind? What are you pointing out? Can you kindly
example,
spell it out?
what is the kind of, is it the same? For example, are the devas living in this earth? Are the devas living somewhere else?
I didn't discuss that. Jan Punadhamo's book gives a whole set of distances where Sumeru is there, and at this level, these realm is there. At this level, this realm. So they're shown spatially apart also, in a very large distance.
So one has to read all that.
Yeah, but I didn't venture into that to avoid too much of confusion.
Yeah, it's a lot of material, I guess.
Yeah, in the book it is all given that. Actually, the cover page of that book itself is so colorful with all the strata of lokas shown in a colorful manner.
So put it in a simpler manner, do the beings in different realms, do they occupy the same physical world, or
different realms?
Physical worlds.
Different realms. Spaced substantially far apart, according to the book.
But they can, so the Buddha, they were visible whenever they wanted.
He had the psychic powers to access and respond to them if need be. For example, he spends one vasa in Tushita Devloka.
No, I meant the other way around also. The devas also could reach Buddha whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
Probably they also have some kind of psychic powers.
Maybe, yeah. But many times they would just come to pay respects to Buddha or get some teaching and so on. There are some very interesting suttas actually in the scripture, where there's especially about one lady, I don't know if I remember her name. She had tremendous psychic powers, and she was going by air to the Savatthi, and the Indra, the Sakka is coming, and he says, "Hey, what's going on here?" So he goes back and then comes later and asks, "Who was this lady who was coming by air to?" And then Buddha says, "Yeah, she's one of the disciples, and she's a very accomplished meditator, and she's a lay woman." So such colorful accounts are also there in some suttas.
Right, sir. Thank you.
तो ये जो मार देव है, मार के अंदर अकुशल काफी कुछ है और सबको परेशान भी करता है। उसके बाद भी देवलोक में सबसे ऊपर वाले प्लेन में ये कैसे पहुंचे, मेरी समझ में नहीं आता है। इसमें कुछ बता सकता था?
That is he's not doing it out of malice or out of wish to trouble them. He's doing it out of wrong view. You see, that's the interesting part. He has practiced all the jhanas and everything, but his view of self-view remains intact. And he thinks, why are people wanting to get out of these great pleasures? See, in the Deva realm, there are such tremendous pleasures. ये लोग क्यों यहाँ से निकलना चाहते हैं तो उनको समझ नहीं आती. So in his all ways, he tries to keep the people within this realm. And you will see whenever he talk to, there are those suttas, where he meets these bhikkhunis, Arhant bhikkhunis, and tells them, come on, you talk about this Niman Rati Deva and this Deva and have a nice time. Why are you wasting away your young persons and this and that? And then those bhikkhunis reply him appropriately. We have included that in our chanting book also, you might have noticed, from Bhikkhuni Sanyukta. It's always Ma trying to, in his own, we can say in his viciousness or in his foolishness or in his ignorance, trying to tell them not to follow this hard, difficult path, and various ways he uses, basically, because he thinks this is futile. Why are people wanting to get out of this world? It is so beautiful. There's so much of enjoyment. So that's how it appears to me. He's not doing it out of aversion or hatred. He's doing it out of ignorance, which is making him do whatever things which seem to us to be creating obstacles in the path of enlightenment. हाँ जी, दीपक जी, समथिंग मोर?
बस छोटी सी बात, ये जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया तो इससे क्या हम कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं, इस डॉक्टर नाडी से के प्रश्न से पहले हम क्या कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं कि जैसे साइंटिस्ट कहते हैं कि लाइफ एग्जिस्ट बियॉन्ड अर्थ. आई थिंक जो हमारी डिस्कशन है उससे तो बड़ा एस्टेब्लिश हो रहा है अच्छे से कि
Yes.
लाइफ डज एग्जिस्ट
Yeah,
इन द
in
आउटसाइड.
Buddhist canon, this is taken as a direct result of Abhinya or Buddha. That there are various realms of existence which are so subtle that they can't be accessed through normal means of conveyance and all that. Yes.
थैंक यू.
Questions? Then may I request Bhakti for questions?
सो कल हमें एक और बहुत एनरिचिंग मौका मिलने वाला है कि हम थोड़ी सी गाइडेंस के आधार पे जो फॉर्मलेस मेडिटेशंस हैं उसको हम बहुत रूडिमेंट्री तरीके से अटेम्प्ट करेंगे. और फिर वो वाला जो सेशन होगा और ये जो सेशन था जो हमने सुना रेल्स वाला, हम सैटरडे और संडे को वील हैव अ चांस टू रिविजिट देम अ फ्यू टाइम्स, ताकि हमारे लिए ये चीज़ें एस्टैब्लिश हो जाएं. और कम से कम मेरे लिए बहुत यूजफुल इस तरह से भी रहा है, ना केवल ब्रह्मजाल सूत्र के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, लेकिन जो सारी टीचिंग है उसमें आपने देखा ही होगा कई बार इस तरह के रेफरेंसेस आते हैं, जिक्र आते हैं. एंड टिपिकली हम लोग उसको वी सेट इट असाइड या समहाउ वी try to go beyond it. But how I'm seeing this as being very helpful is कि अपनी खुद की एक मेरी खुद की एक थोड़ी समझ तो बन जाती है, ताकि जब टीचिंग में ये आए तो मैं उसको उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में उस टीचिंग को समझ सकें, देख सकें, सुन सकें. सो आई वुड एनकरेज कि हम इसको कोशिश करें to try and imbibe as much of it as possible for us. और दूसरा, जैसे मैंने कल आज सुबह बताया था कि ये जो रेल्म्स वाली बात है, इस पे 10 लेक्चर्स की एक एक्चुअली लेक्चर्स नहीं है, वो एक क्वेश्चन आंसर सीरीज है बिटवीन अजन सोना एंड पुण्य धम्मो, और बहुत ही फैसिनेटिंग है टू पुट इट माइल्डली. So I would very much encourage anybody who's interested to maybe slowly. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Nassami Sanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami.
हम भंत जी का वंदन करते हैं 3 बार प्रणाम करके। प्रणाम, प्रिय प्रणाम, क्षत्रिय प्रणाम। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू एवरीवन।
Thank you very much.
Special.
This might be a silly question, but jhanas में or in realms में chetna or intention has no role to play whatsoever, because we only talk of perception and feelings.
Yeah, I mean, in what sense? Whatever actions are done in that realm, they must be motivated by intention, of course. Leaving aside the असन्य सत्ता जिसमें संज्ञा नहीं है, बाकी सब में तो everything will operate in the all other realms. 5 khandhas are operating. In the immaterial realm, 4 khandhas are operating, so they're all there. So those immaterial beings, what they are
Is there a
doing.
concept of wholesome and unwholesome karmas there?
Pardon?
In these realms, do we talk about wholesome and unwholesome karmas?
In the Deva realm, yes, very much. In one of the 4th jhana realms, which is the realm of 5 realms, upper 5 realms, जो कि अनागामी के हैं, उसमें तो अनवल्सम का कोई स्कोप ही नहीं है. Otherwise, devas also do all kinds of unwholesome actions. Sometimes they do get into fight. As I mean, we've read suttas where devas and asuras are fighting, but generally devas have a more wholesome tendencies. Asuras have a more unwholesome tendencies. But the sensory pleasures, the craving for sensory pleasures, that remains unless the person has entered the stream of liberation. So in Deva realm, there are Sotapannas also get born in Deva realm. So they may continue to have the practice going in that realm. Even Sakka is supposed to have become a Sotapanna after interacting with Gautama the Buddha.
Okay.
Commentaries mention about that.
Thank you.
So all the 5 khandhas are operating in the realms where fine material is there, even there, up to that realm. Only in that special realm, pure abodes, there is complete wholesomeness because there is no craving, no aversion.
topmost four in your table.
Yeah, topmost 5. Yeah.
So
Yeah, yes.
those topmost 5 correspond to jhanas, right?
They are all fourth jhana consequence.
Okay.
Fourth jhana with which of the, I mean, this is commentatorial interpretation, no? And which of the faculties is strong, depending on that, the life duration and this realm is higher. So we have the, can you give me sharing rights? I can just show it on the screen.
It will be nice to have a
Okay,
view
sir.
of it again.
You can see now?
Yes.
आप देख पा रहे हैं?
थोड़ा सा हेजी है.
इसको थोड़ा बड़ा कर दीजिए सर, देख पा रहे हैं.
जी, ठीक है.
Yeah.
Topmost 4 तो immaterial realm के है ना?
Yeah, those 4 are immaterial and these are the 5 pure abodes. Even in these 4 immaterial realms, the mind is so much given, they're supposed to be of the 4th jhana and variants of 4th jhana. So the possibility of gross and wholesome arising is not there really. So 4th jhana is a jhana of equanimity with very ability to handle unpleasant feelings of all kinds. So the possibility of unwholesome exists certainly in the Deva realm and in the lower realms, because first jhana means the mind is full of metta, it is full of karuna, mudita, upekha. So the gross unwholesomeness is contained by the presence of that state of mind. When the mind is constantly imbued with metta, the possibility of gross unwholesome arising is quite low. In these kama bhumi, yes, of course. In whole of this
हाँ,
kama,
यहाँ तो ठीक है.
there it will arise, unwholesomeness will arise. Here it will become progressively lesser and lesser.
Right. Thank you, sir.
तो अनहोलसमनेस जब हो रही है तो फिर दैट मीन्स इट इज आल्सो प्योरिटी इज आल्सो अटेन्ड. That means
There is the conscious level, there is purity, of course. All the defilements, all the nivaranas are deeply suppressed or removed to some extent. It's not a stage of complete elimination of all sankharas. They are all latent. They can keep on lying latent, and yet the actions may not be unwholesome. Only at an extreme conditions those will arise. हम अपने कंडीशन में देख सकते हैं ना, अपने माइंड स्टेट्स अगर हम मैत्री से भरपूर है तो गुस्सा आने का चांस काफी कम हो जाता है. Of course, the lust can still arise with them. So those kind of possibilities exist. But considering the people who have really mastered these jhanas, unwholesome की possibilities थोड़ी कम हो जाती है. Obviously, ऐसा नहीं खत्म हो जाएंगी. They are not free from kamarag or other things. Like these 5 realms, top 5 realms, this is the place of rebirth of anagami. There is no possibility of any unwholesomeness arising. कामराग समाप्त हो चुका है, व्यापाद समाप्त हो चुका है. So they're having a pure, that's why it's called pure abode. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
जी शर्मा जी.
Yes, sir. Sir, in a life, can one have different stages of dhyanas or realms at itself at different times, at childhood, younger, adult time, depending upon the past and present karmas?
Yeah, we can experience all these jhanas if we meditate intensely. All these jhanas and the corresponding mind states can be experienced by human beings, of course. They can experience by devas also if they are continuing to practice.
Yeah, very
But
good.
it doesn't mean they'll go to that realm. They can go change the realm only after death. These are realms of existence.
Yeah.
After death.
Yeah. So, sir, the other thing is coming to my mind. We say sometimes that this is lucky, this is unlucky, this is lucky and unlucky both. Is it the different nomenclature of the same thing?
No, not lucky, unlucky जो सामान्य भाषा में हम कहते हैं.
जी हाँ वही
that pertains to karma, no? The fruit of karma.
जी
The fruit of if one has done wholesome karma in the past and he keeps on getting wholesome situations, conditions, we say he's lucky.
Yeah.
That's a conventional way of speaking.
Yeah.
जो हम
So
कहते हैं
here,
जब मरने के बाद हम प्रेयर करते हैं उसकी सदगति हो, तो सदगति का मतलब है goes to the higher realms. दुर्गति का मतलब है goes to the lower realm. This is the common understanding.
oh, but in going to lower rank or going to upper rank, it is, I think it will come to the same thing, that feeling good or feeling bad.
No, not really. Here there is definitely a lot of pain experienced. Here the pain experienced is low. So it's not a question of good or bad, it's a question of pleasant or unpleasant.
Yeah.
Here the extent of unpleasantness is extremely high. You can imagine the life of an animal. How constantly frightened they are.
Yeah.
So there is obviously a difference in the quality of experience.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. I could get. Thanks.
Thank you. भावना जी.
सर दो क्वेश्चन है. पहला ये है कि इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द ह्यूमन लाइफ, तो जो नेक्स्ट बर्थ डिसाइड होता है, एज पर माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग आई थिंक इट इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन द लॉ ऑफ कर्मा. और दूसरा जो है वो है कि आपके लास्ट मोमेंट पे व्हाट इज द संखार that came to your mind, or what is the thought that came to your mind. तो मेरे मन में ये प्रश्न आ रहा था कि why is it not solely based on karma? Why वो लास्ट मोमेंट वाला, मतलब उसका सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है? दैट इज थोड़ा मोमेंटरी, तो वो कुछ भी रैंडम.
Last word sankhara is also karma, no? What is sankhara? Sankhara is karma, basically. संखारा
ने वो जो एक एग्जांपल दिया था जिसमें भगवान बुद्ध ने बोला कि ये पहले ब्रह्म महाब्रह्म थे, एंड देन ही वाज बोर्न एज वो क्या कहते हैं, दैट इंसेक्ट.
जी.
तो अगर महाब्रह्म थे तो ऐसा नहीं हो कि उनका सारा लाइफ होलसम गया होगा, एंड देन हाउ द लास्ट मोमेंट वेंट बैड.
जितने भी होलसमनेस के कर्म थे, उनका फल उन्होंने इतने लंबे समय तक प्लेजेंट सर्कमस्टांसिस में जी के उठा लिया. अब जो रेजिडुअल बचा था वो अनहोलसम बचा था. जब कोई हजारों वर्षों तक अपने अच्छे कर्मों का फल भोग लेता है तो क्या बचेगा? क्या बचेगा? वही जो अकुशल कर्म है उनका फल बचेगा। इसीलिए तो कहा जाता है ना कि हमको अपने अकुशल कर्मों के प्रति बहुत सजग रहना चाहिए। और अगर हमारे जीवन में अप्रिय परिस्थिति आए, so we should see it as an opportunity for allowing the unwholesome sankharas to say goodbye to them, rather than getting worried and kind of try to run away from them. We always talk of sabbe sankhara anichati यदा पन्याय पश्यति एस निब्बिंदिते दुखे एस मग्गो विशुद्धिया. This Brahmapada teaching explains the path of practice. अगर हम संखारों को अनित्य समझते हैं, जानते हैं, प्रज्ञा से जानते हैं, तो दुख से निर्वेद हो जाता है. एंड देन वी ट्राई टू वर्क टुवर्ड्स संखार उपशमन, संखार को उपेक्षा, संखार उपेक्षा. वी ट्राई टू face them with upekha so that this it's silenced. जितने जितने संखारों का उपशमन होता चला जाएगा उतना उतना हम निर्वाण के नजदीक पहुंच जाएंगे. ऐसी भगवान की ट्रीटिंग है.
और दूसरे संखार तब जाएंगे then we are non-reactive towards
That's,
whatever.
yeah, so what we can do, the best we can do is work towards whenever they arise, allow them to pass, and we meditate in such a manner that we can allow those sankharas to arise and pass away. Life throws us into situations where the life conditions will be in accordance with the sankharas, prominent sankharas. Now, if we see them with wisdom, then certainly they will be attenuated, slowly and slowly get attenuated, and we can get free from them. That is within our experience. If we have practiced for a long time, we can see many of the habit patterns, many of the sankharas have reduced substantially. Some are not. So we're working on them, isn't it? Some childhood cravings, childhood desires, they've all vanished.
सर एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन है.
जी.
On what basis the अगर if we are talking about human life, तो किस basis पे ड्यूरेशन ऑफ लाइफ डिसाइड होती है?
Exactly, तो मुझे नहीं मालूम. It's of course here you can see in terms of practice of jhanas, you can see wholesome kammas giving progressively larger life. So partly you can derive conclusion. Only definitive statement which I have read in the suttas is that a person who has done some, जिसके हत्या किसी की है तो उस हत्या करने के कर्म का फल ये होता है कि उसकी लाइफ छोटी हो जाती है. This is explicitly stated in the चूल कम्मा विभंग सुत्ता में स्पष्ट. बाकी there are so many factors, so you can't really point out. एक सिंगल फैक्टर नहीं है. ऑब्वियसली इससे यही लगता है कि जितना आपने पुण्य किया है उससे लाइफ स्पैन भी बढ़ सकता है. यहाँ पे जैसे इन इन रेल्म्स में प्रोग्रेसिवली लाइफ स्पैन क्यों बढ़ रहा है? बिकॉज उनके प्रोग्रेसिवली हायर लेवल ऑफ दान एंड शीला एंड प्रैक्टिस आर देयर. एंड वी कैन सी as they practice jhanas, the lifespans are increasing. So this gives a hint.
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सो मच.
हाँ जी, दीपक जी कहिए.
एक मेरा पॉइंट है, एक शॉर्ट डिस्कशन तो नहीं है, पॉइंट ऑफ क्लैरिफिकेशन ही है कि जैसे जो प्योर अबोर्ड्स हैं जहाँ अनागमी रीबर्थ लेते हैं और उसके बाद फिर वो लिबरेट हो जाते हैं, उसके ऊपर भी 4 रेल्म हैं, उसमें बॉडीज नहीं है. तो जो ऊपर के 4 रेल्म के जो प्राणी कहें, शायद
हाँ.
बॉडी,
ठीक है
they will get reborn
जी
in any of the lower realms.
हाँ जी
अच्छा, बीच के अरहंतों अनागामियों का है ये, सिर्फ ये रिबॉर्न नहीं होते।
जी वो इसलिए है, इसको समझना काफी आसान है, क्योंकि इस रैल में जो साधक हैं, जो लोग हैं, वो साधना करते रहेंगे
हम्म,
और साधना करते रहने के लिए शरीर की भी आवश्यकता है।
राइट।
इस कारण से शायद जस्ट ए कंजक्शन, ये लोग इसी रेल में, फोर्थ जाना से ऊपर के रेल में नहीं जाते। डोंट गो टू द फॉर्मलेस realms. This must be in accordance with the laws of nature that people have to practice, so they can practice there properly.
जस्ट एक लॉजिकल क्वेश्चन है, मे बी ए स्टूपिड लॉजिक। तो ये जो अरहंतों वाला जो 5 लेवल्स हैं, दे शुड बी एट द टॉप मोस्ट लेवल। आई डोंट नो।
टॉप का कोई मतलब नहीं है ना, दिस डजंट मीन एनीथिंग। टॉप, व्हाट डज टॉप मीन? एंड आई हैव टू मेक ए टेबल, कहीं ना मैं इसको ऊपर बना देता हूँ, आप जैसा को इस
अच्छा,
टेबल
मैं
को मैं ऊपर कर देता हूँ। वो रूप भूमि है, वो अरूप भूमि है, क्लासिफिकेशन है वो।
ठीक है,
दिस इज क्लासिफिकेशन।
जस्ट
ये अरूप भूमि है, ये रूप भूमि है, ये काम अवचल भूमि है।
ठीक है।
अधिकतर लोग तो इसको ही टॉप मानते हैं,
अच्छा, ठीक
मनुष्य
है।
लोग को ही टॉप मानते हैं लोग, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पॉसिबिलिटीज बहुत हैं, बाकी जगह पॉसिबिलिटीज कम है। दैट्स वाई वाइज देवाज ऑल्सो विश कि मैं इधर आ जाऊं, ताकि बहक ना जाऊं, मैं ज्यादा सुख में बहक ना जाऊं, तो इस रैल में आ जाऊं, तो साधना करूंगा तो मुक्त हो जाऊंगा। सो दिस इज द रैल which even a bodhisattva comes here to get enlightened. So if you say which is the top realm, I would say this is the top realm. Manusya realm is the top realm, because from here the possibility of liberation is very high.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.